Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the beautiful horror superfan, Destiny Faulkner. How you doing today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. I'm so glad we were able to make this happen. This is something that we've been communicating back and forth for a while. We were finally able to make this happen. For those of you that don't know Destiny, for as long as she can remember, she's been always into horror and creepy things. As she's gotten older, she began to combine two of her passions, that is makeup and horror movies. And the good thing about that is you can check out her work, because not only is Destiny a horror super fan and a friend of mine, all her social media links are right down here in the description. So check out all the things that she's doing on Instagram, Twitter. Check out all the makeup stuff that she does. It's super fucking rad. I love the zipper face one that she did. We were just talking about that a little while ago with the
Yeah,
red
thank
on the
you.
face. I thought that was so super rad. Now one day she was watching behind the scenes videos of Halloween '07 and Friday the 13th '09, realized that she wants to do. Horror has always intrigued her and grossed her out at the same time.
Yeah.
Hopefully her love of makeup can do that in the future. So is that something like you want to be like a SFX artist? Like you want to do makeup for movies? Is that something that like you're striving for?
Yes, definitely. I try to practice at home, and that's what the whole like 31 makeup looks of October was, to try to keep my patience. First of all, I get annoyed pretty easily, especially doing
Yeah.
stuff, but I was like, I have to stick to it. I wanted to give up like 4 days in, and I was like, no, I need to keep going. So it was fun. It was practice, but hopefully someday I'll be working on movies, something, hopefully horror
Well,
movies in particular.
the great thing is you're very, very young and you have a whole lot of time to perfect your art. I think that it's great. I think it's amazing, but sometimes we need that push in the right direction. So I hope that you continue to push yourself. And it's a good sign. You decided, you set a goal for 31 days. You got a little burned out, but you pushed ahead. You did it anyway. That's a really good sign moving forward, that if you're passionate about something, even though it gets a little annoying, it gets a little hard, you can push through that wall. You can run through that wall. You know, runners talk about hitting that wall. You broke through
Yeah.
that brick wall and you kept on running. So I'm very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
So I know that we talked about Halloween '07 and Friday the 13th '09. What was it specifically about those that really made you realize this is something I want to do with my life?
So with the Rob Zombies Halloween '07, it was specifically Ronnie's kill. And I was watching them kind of like do the tubing up, like the blood tubes, like up through, and the kind of like latex, like neck piece he had, and how they had to like shove it underneath and like hide it and stuff. And I was like watching it because, like I said, like growing up, I've always loved horror. I'm a very squeamish person. Gore really grosses me out, really grosses me out. But like watching it, I was like, that's pretty cool. And when you kind of see it like that, it helps me kind of take myself out from watching movies. All I just tell myself is like, this isn't real. This is just makeup. And it kind of
Mhm.
helps me calm down a little bit. But watching it, I was like, that's super cool. Like that's so awesome. And I've always loved makeup as well. Growing up, like I've always wanted to be like a makeup artist on some level. But then watching that video, and then Friday the 13th '09, it was specifically the cops kill when like the fire poker like goes through his eye and stuff, and it pans through. Yes, I
What an
watched. I was like,
amazing
oh
shot.
my god, I love that scene. I thought it was so wonderful, and I was like, hey, like I never like watching these. I kind of never went into like, oh, how did they do that kill? I was just always watching the movie, but like actually watching behind the scenes. It was my first time like kind of watching behind the scenes, anything of that sort. I was like watching. I was like, oh my god, I love makeup. I love horror. I can put it together. And so ever since then, and that was a few years ago now, I was like, that's what I really want to do. So
And it's amazing. Keep putting yourself out there, because I feel like you got a good talent. Like I said, I was looking through your stuff earlier, and it's just like every time I would see something come across Instagram, I'm like, damn, this girl's good. So that's why I was glad that we were finally able to do this, because I love talking horror with everybody.
mhm.
And I know that someday you're going to be this big, awesome makeup artist. I'm like, you know what? I talked to her and we talked shit about her first horror movie back in the day. But before we could get to that, Destiny, we got to tell everybody what your first horror movie was. Now, anybody that's observant knows that I like to dress the part of what we're talking about. So this may not come as a surprise, but Destiny, your first horror movie was.
I'm going to say Halloween. Was it the actual first movie? I honestly cannot tell you because my aunt, so I had a really young mom and really young aunts, and my aunts would babysit me, specifically my Aunt Misty, and she would let me watch whatever I wanted to. So I was probably like 3 years old, like watching Chucky. Obviously, like I can't remember that. That's stuff she's like told me before. But Halloween is definitely the movie that has like impacted my life the most and really pushed me, I guess, further into the horror genre as a whole. Because then I sought out all the movies, and I love Halloween 4 and 5 so much, in particular because of Jamie Lloyd. But Halloween is definitely the one that's really stuck close to me, and it's my favorite franchise. It's not my favorite movie, but as a whole, Halloween, the entire franchise, really, it has a really special place in my heart.
It's funny. I was a late bloomer on Halloween. I'm a tad bit older than you, but I grew up in a video store, and to me, I had all those movies right available to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Halloween to me was always just so white bread and boring compared to Freddy and Jason and Chucky.
Yeah.
But then the older I got, the more this appreciation came of, yeah, it's kind of boring, but it's the most real. This is just a guy, and like you get that scene where they rip the mask off and then he steps into the light and you see him and he pulls that mask back down. And it's at that moment where you're like, this could be my neighbor that just went crazy. And I've gained a respect and a love for Halloween. Where you love 4 and 5, I love 3 and H2O, and I will defend those to the end of time. I think 3 and H2O are my favorite in the franchise. I will fight tooth and nail for those movies as long as I live. And even though it's overplayed, I think the best shot of any Halloween movie is the shot of Laurie and Michael in H2O through that circle window. I know, like I said, it was in the trailer, it was on the posters, it's overdone. But the first time you see that, like the look on her face and, the blanks, the blackest eyes that he has, that's one of my best shots, one of my favorite shots in any movie ever.
Mm-hmm.
But and another thing real quick, shout out to Aunt Misty. Aunt Misty, you're the shit for starting this at a young age.
Aunt Misty. And then my dad, he was also a huge horror fan. And so he also really, like, anytime I would go to my dad's house, and even my stepmom, we always watched horror movies. My dad was a big fan of like the big three, but especially Michael Myers. So that's why like the Halloween franchise means so much to me, because like I just remember growing up, since for as long as I can remember, watching Halloween and watching them on like AMC Fear Fest. I was like my favorite time of the year. I would make sure to record them and stuff so I can have them all year long. It was just, I always loved Halloween. And I love H2O. H2O is my third favorite. Halloween 4 is my second favorite. Halloween 5 is at the bottom of my list, but just because like I was a young girl watching these, so I was like, it's so cool to see like a young final girl in Jamie Lloyd, and I love Daniel Harris. So those, I always like gravitated towards those.
I like 5. Like we just recently on a buddy of mine's channel, we did our top Halloween, our favorite Halloween movies, and Halloween 5 is like right in the middle of the pack for me. I think that, I mean, like, look, there's goofy ass moments in it.
Yeah.
And they definitely did Rachel wrong in this movie.
100%.
But like the stuff with Jamie alone, like and we gotta remember, this is a very young girl, and like when she wakes up screaming in that hospital bed, or when all her scenes with her little boyfriend Billy, I think it's Billy, and like cookie woman, like that shit is great for such a little girl. Danielle Harris nailed that role, and I think that she's so underappreciated in that movie. I mean, like, look, even for as much credit as she gets, I still think she's underrated in that movie because we always forget she was such a young girl, and she's so believable and everything. And the fact that when they're in there and Michael is stabbing into the fucking heater vent thing, she was really in there.
Yes.
And that was a real knife they were stabbing in there. Like, never would I let my kids do that in a million years. And there's like a point where she steps on this knife. Like, what the fuck
like
were they thinking?
Wouldn't happen today at all.
Never in a million years.
No. And she's even talked about like she does not want her two sons to be in at least actors. She said they could be behind the camera, like whatever, behind the scene stuff, but she's like, I won't let them be child actors, and I don't want them to be actors in general because of all the stuff she had to go through as a kid. And
that's a very sad thing to think about.
Yeah, it is.
That sucks. That's so terrible. Well, with the original Halloween, which I gotta say, one of my favorite taglines to this movie that no one talks about, the most successful independent motion picture of all time. We always forget this was an indie film. This wasn't a major Hollywood blockbuster. This was a little indie film. And look what this has turned into, and this is a movie that I've talked about a lot on this podcast. A lot of people, this was their first. And there is never a moment where I could say, oh, this is the scene that we talk about the most, or this is the most iconic scene for people, because there's so many scenes that are so effective for different reasons. Destiny, what would you say is the scene that affected you the most from Halloween?
It would definitely be whenever Laurie is running away after she just found all of her dead friends, and she's running out and Michael's after her, and you have like the score kicking in. It sounds like the heartbeat, like the boom, ba-dum, and it gets really loud, and she's running, trying to get into Tommy's house, and Tommy's just taking his time getting down there. That scene has always freaked me out. Even to this day, I have really bad anxiety. And so that just really pushes it, because that's so scary. The thought of like, you're almost away and you're almost to some sort of safety, but you're locked out and the killer is right behind you. That is so scary. And she's just standing there and he's just getting closer and closer. And it makes me sweat. It makes me so nervous, but it's so good.
Completely get it. I completely like that feeling of helplessness, because I'm like you. I put myself in a movie when I'm watching it, and to be in that situation is, you're helpless at that point. I'm going to someone I think I can rely on, and I got nothing here. So obviously that's the scene that affected you the most. But what would you say, Destiny, your favorite scene from Halloween '78 is?
My favorite scene. I don't know. Maybe I would say I really do like the scene whenever you have Laurie and Annie and then Linda when they're all walking home. I really do like that scene. I've kind of said this before, and I usually get some heat from it. I prefer Rob Zombie's three girls over our original three, just because I feel like I relate to them a little bit more. But I still do love that scene because it's really before all the bad shit happens. It's before they all die, besides Laurie, of course. But it's just like a nice moment for them to just feel real. And that's why this movie works so well, because it feels real. It feels like this could happen. Like you said, this could be your neighbor. Like this could be you and your friends one day, and then this could just happen. And it's happened to plenty of people, I'm sure. That shit really does happen. And that's why it's so scary and effective. But it's a scene for us to put ourselves in their shoes and to make this feel lived in and real. And I think it works really well.
And I got to be completely transparent and completely honest. I have only seen the director's cut of Rob Zombie's Halloween and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, and I wasn't a fan of either one. Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, one thing that I don't know if you know about me from watching the podcast or listening or watching our lives or listening, sexual assault is something for me that is unforgivable, insufferable. I can't watch it. And the sexual assault scene in Rob Zombie's Halloween just really fucking, like, I couldn't even watch after that. I got to give the theatrical cuts of these films. I got some really good friends that have always told me, like, dude, watch the theatrical cut. You're going to get a much better realization of what these films are. But what I'm leading up to is Brad Dourif and Danielle Harris as Sheriff and Annie Brackett are fucking phenomenal. They are so great. And one of the best acting moments in any Halloween franchise is when Brad's holding Annie, Danielle, like, oh my God, so heartbreaking. What a heartbreaking performance by Brad there. Like, it's such an amazing, I'm a huge Brad Dourif fan, whether it's Chucky, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, The Exorcist 3, the guy can really do no wrong. I think he's an amazing actor, and to see him really knock that role out was so amazing to me.
Yes, I would have to agree. And that's like, I love Rob Zombie's Halloween. I love it because it was one of my dad's favorites and we watched it a lot. But I agree with you. And it's really annoying because that scene does nothing. Like, I know it's how he sort of escapes and stuff, but we didn't need it. No. It wasn't needed at all. And if I could change anything about that movie, that's literally the one thing I would change, because I don't like that scene. And as of right now, I only own the director's cut. And so if I watch this with people, I'm like, sorry, like, I know I don't like it either. But yeah, the theatrical cut, it has a different escape. You get to see Bill Moseley. He's in the that escape scene, and he's of course awesome, even though he's not in it that long. But
Bill is
I
Bill.
would say maybe check it out. I do think the director's cut of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, I think I do like that better because Laurie doesn't, if you watch the theatrical cut, Laurie is like, duh, 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 because there's stuff cut out from it. But I think the director's cut, even if you don't like that portrayal, it is more cohesive than what you would get in theatrical. But the theatrical cut of the Rob Zombie's '07 better escape scene. And I think that's really the only thing that is different is that escape scene. There might be some other minor changes here and there, but that's the main big difference, which I understand why they would want something different.
Yeah, I was completely out at that point. And then another thing that you were just talking about with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, it completely took me out of the film when I heard old Mikey say, die! When he stabbed, I was like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah, that's also not in the theatrical, that scene, that line is cut out. Yeah.
I will say this as well. When it comes to Rob Zombie's Halloween, Tyler Mane, I think, is the man. Like, that dude is so fucking scary. And I seen a picture of you with him, and it's one of the funniest pictures I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that I got to see that. And I've had the very big honor of having Tyler here on the podcast as well, and learning where horror started for him. And he's for being as big as he is the fucking sweetest teddy bear. Like, we talked for hours, and he was just such a kind, sweet human being. So we know what your favorite scene from Halloween was. We know which scene affected you the most, Destiny. But now I kind of want to flip this a little bit. Obviously, Halloween is a franchise, and it's built itself into a pretty damn good one at this point. What would you say your favorite movie from the Halloween franchise is?
I'm going to have easily 4.
4?
4. Yeah, definitely. I love 4 so much. Even it has like that nostalgia for me, but also I think it's just a great movie in my opinion. I love everything about it. It's the return of Michael Myers. I don't like the mask. I don't like the shoulder pads. I don't like the look of Michael Myers as much, but everything besides that, I love.
And then you got old boy getting killed in the bushes while he's taking a piss. Oh, Ted Hollister.
Yes,
damn it, you shot Ted Hollister.
I was like, okay, why are y'all so casual about it? Y'all just killed someone. And he just said it like it was nothing.
Yeah, like it's like a normal everyday thing. Fuck,
exactly.
Someone killed
Small
Ted Hollister again.
Yeah, exactly. that always made me laugh. Right. And then they just die.
Now, Destiny, I want to get dark on you here for a minute. We talked about, obviously, as horror fans and gore hounds. I'm with you. I'm not a gore hound. Ashley is the gore hound. She's more the Saw, where I'm the Notebook. So, I'm not much of a gore guy myself, but we do love the kills. As horror fans, we love the kills. Destiny, what would you say your favorite kill from Halloween 78 is?
My favorite kill, I'm going to have to probably say, Bob. I don't even know what I was thinking. Bob. I was about to say Annie, but I was like, wait, how can I leave this out? Bob's kill. Because it's the misdirect. You don't know what's coming. It's a jump scare. And then it's one of the most, out of plenty of iconic scenes in the Halloween movie. That scene when you get the head tilt, and that's when you finally, like, I think that's kind of when you realize, like, already he's pretty messed up, but that scene with him just like admiring what he does, and he's like curious about it. It looks like a child just being like, huh, I just did that. But seeing that scene, it's like, oh wow, this man, he's not coming back from this ever. Like, he's definitely just doing this just to do it. Like, there's really no reason, and that's why it's so scary. But it's such a beautiful scene. The blue all behind it, it's barely lit, and then boom, dead. I love it.
You're right. Mikey's not in a redemption arc anytime soon.
No.
So
no,
we
never.
talked about your first horror movie, Destiny, being Halloween 1978, how much that movie means to you. But now I got to throw a curveball at you. My little buddy Ghostface here has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Destiny? What is your
Yeah.
favorite horror movie of all time?
My favorite horror movie is Scream. Has to be.
He's
I love Scream. Yes,
Little
exactly.
Billy or Stu. I don't know which one. He's pretty happy right now.
Yeah. I have a little hibiscus too. Here he is.
There it is. Awesome.
I've had this thing forever. But
so
yes.
how excited are you for Scream to come out?
Oh, Scream. I'm very excited. I know. I'm still gonna call it Scream 5 because it's the same thing with like Rob Zombie's Halloween. I don't just say Halloween. I say Rob Zombie's Halloween, or I say Halloween 2018. So talking about this, I'm definitely still gonna be Scream 5. But I'm so excited for Scream 5. It's my like most anticipated movie, probably almost ever.
I will be. I'm over the moon excited for it, but I will say you will hear me all the way where you're at from here in Michigan, crying like a fucking baby if Sydney dies. You'll hear it. You'll just step aside and you'll hear. You're like, oh fuck, Ken. Yep, they killed Sydney. Like I will lose my fucking mind if we lose Sydney.
Yeah, I've already said like, and I know some people are like, you shouldn't be upset when people die because it carries on the story and what. No, if Sydney dies, I will riot. Yeah. I already said I will punch someone in the face because I don't want Sydney to die.
Like here's where it's like a double-headed coin for me, because like you gotta kill one of the big three now. Like either Gail, Sydney, or Dewey, one of them has to go. Like you have to. And I said that before the fourth one. And when they all survived, I was like, oh, come on, man. This is starting to get to the point where Scream, I always loved it because it was so realistic, except that dumb voice changer in 3. 3 had a lot of issues. Like how she checks his pulse, but he's not dead. Yeah, there's some issues in 3. But I still like it. If you're making a film franchise and Scream 3 is the worst movie in your franchise, holy shit. I've seen Freddy's Dead. I've seen Halloween Resurrection. I've seen Jason Takes Manhattan. Trust me, it gets a lot worse than Scream 3. But yeah, it's to the point now where one of the big three, not named Sydney, has to die in this one. And so I don't want it to happen. Like it's gonna be weird. Like I do, but I don't. Like those things where it's like, yeah, this is gonna be cool. It has to happen. Then it's gonna happen. I'll be like, why the fuck did they do that? That didn't have to happen.
Exactly.
Like, totally how it's gonna go.
Exactly. I try to think about it and I'm just like, no. My answer is no. So I don't want anyone to die. Definitely not Sydney. But then I'm like, well, I really don't want Gil to die. But then I'm like, wait, no, I really don't want Dewey to die. So it's kind of like, yeah, I agree. One of them needs to go. I really don't think it should be Sydney. That would really, really upset me because she's my favorite final girl. Like I can't see her go.
And the thing about that too is like, it can't be Gail. If Gail's bang survives Scream 3, Gail's gonna survive anything.
She can survive anything.
Yeah. So my boy Dewey, he's already been through a lot, man. Like
he really has. At one point,
we're already
he is
upset
going to
about
be
it.
dead.
I'm already writing. I'm like, how dare you kill Dewey? Like,
seriously,
it's not even happened yet.
And I try, like, I'm not one of those people that like examine trailers and stuff. Like, trust me, I watched the trailer like 10 times that day it came out. But I wasn't like pausing it and be like, okay, that looks like this and that. So, and anytime I see like a Scream theory, I'm like, no. It's like, even if it's a theory, like I don't want to know. Cause like, I didn't see whenever Halloween, whenever Scream 4 came out, that was 2011. I was probably like 12. I didn't really go to the movie theaters. Like no one really went to the theaters.
Fucking old man. Oh my God.
Don't say that because anytime I mention my age, people freak out. I'm just like, let me cry. And everyone's saying like, oh my God, you're a baby. I'm just like, I still want to cry about it though. Just let me cry.
You're a baby. Yeah, cool. Because I chose to be born when I was.
Cool. Exactly. It's like, okay. Literally when people say that, I'm just like, the trauma I've been through probably like aged me like 3 times my actual age. So let me complain about it. Damn it. So just let me complain. But this is like my first one, like going to the theater and seeing it and kind of like, I remember being surprised in Scream 4. The other ones, it's almost like I cannot remember the first time I watched it. I feel like I always just knew. Like I can't remember a point in my life to where I didn't know. Scream 4, I remember being surprised, but I watched it like at my house. I just like rented it. This is like my first like theater experience of a new one. Luckily, like I saw Scream, the original, whenever it was playing in October in movie theaters. So I got to see it on the big screen, which was just absolutely amazing. Like I couldn't believe it. And I feel like I picked up on so much more that I've never even noticed. And I've seen this movie probably like 50 times. But this is going
it's
to
a
be amazing.
masterpiece. It's like Wes Craven. I just talked about this on a podcast episode that I believe aired right before yours. But Wes Craven dipped his toes in the water with Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And Wes Craven's New Nightmare walked so Scream could run.
Yes.
I said this on there too. It's such a good thing that Wes Craven's New Nightmare bombed the way it did, because if it would have been a huge success, we may have never gotten Scream. He may have continued that meta with another Freddy Krueger movie, which would have been dope. I love Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I always have.
Me too.
But it's Scream. I mean, Scream really took what Wes Craven's New Nightmare, laid and totally ran with it and created, whether you love or you hate Scream, if you want to know the impact that it had on the horror genre, look at the horror movies that came out in 93, 94, 95, and then the ones that came out 97, 98, 99, and tell me that Scream did not completely revitalize an almost dead genre. I mean, we were getting Texas Chainsaw 3, Species, like those were the big horror movies that were coming out right before Scream. Then after that, you get your I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, Bride of Chucky, Halloween H2O. Like these movies that we've grown to love from big franchises would not have been what they were if it hadn't been for Scream. Bride of Chucky, Halloween H2O are total Scream influenced movies. 100%. And it's funny to think that, Halloween completely influenced A Nightmare on Elm Street. So you got John Carpenter totally influencing Wes Craven, and then Scream completely did that to H2O. So you have, them taking from each other, and it's just fucking beautiful how those two geniuses bounce back and forth off of each other.
Exactly. And like, that's why like I love Scream and Halloween so much, because in Scream you have Halloween playing, and that scene with Jamie Kennedy, anytime I watch that movie with any friends, I'm like, this is one of the best scenes in history.
Jamie, look behind you. Look behind you. Turn around. Behind you. Oh, turn behind you.
And I full on mean that, because Jamie Kennedy, Jamie, hello, amazing. It all works so well together. And then I love Halloween H2O, and then they're watching Scream 2. Like, I love those connections. I think it's amazing. And then you have them saying like in Halloween H2O, they're talking about like drive down to the Beckers or something. Like, I'm like, yes, exactly. Like, I love it. And that's why like these two, even though like Halloween, it's probably like honestly like maybe like my fourth favorite movie, but like my top 5, like those are like this to me, Right. So Scream and Halloween, they're still right there together, and I can still put them on at any day if I'm upset, watch one of these two, and my mood is completely changed because I love them so much.
Right. And it's funny. How funny would it be though in Halloween H2O if they were watching Scream, not Scream 2, but Scream, and they're like, wait, that kind of looks like Mrs. Tate.
That is something I've literally never realized until I was watching Dead Meat, and he's like my favorite YouTuber. And then
James
I was
and Chelsea
watching,
are phenomenal people.
They are amazing, and I want to meet them so bad, and I was upset. I really wanted to go to Texas Frightmare, which I didn't go anyway, so it doesn't matter. They were supposed to go though, and they had to cancel because everything going on, and so they didn't go. And I was like, damn, like I was pretty close to like actually meeting them. I want to meet them so bad.
You will not regret meeting them. James and Chelsea they're from Michigan, grew up here with me, and they are two of the sweetest, kindest people. I'm so grateful every time I get the chance to talk to them or work with them. Like, it's such an honor to be able to have conversation with those two and learn things from them. Like, they are legit two of my heroes, two of my friends, two of my influences, and I couldn't say anything nicer about those two people. I'm so happy that they'll finally be getting married in January. They both deserve this so much. And I'm so proud of them for getting Heather to come and do it, because I know how much Heather means to the both of them. So It's so exciting. Yes, that is so rad.
I'm so mad at myself. I didn't just get freaking Chelsea's as well, and I should have, but I got James. I saw him, I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing. I was talking to whenever I met Felissa Rose at one of the conventions. She was asking me like how I found Sleepaway Camp and stuff, and I was like, well, it was actually through like Dead Meat. And she's like, oh my God, I love James and Chelsea, and she's invited to their wedding, and I was like, I'm gonna cry. And then yes, them getting freaking Heather Langenkamp, that is amazing. And then the whole thing with whenever he was interviewing Jamie Lee Curtis,
that was hilarious.
and she's like, well, fuck you then.
Yeah, well, fuck you then.
Stop laughing. It's just so amazing. I love them so much.
It couldn't happen. It's funny because a lot of people like they put on this act, you know. But James and Chelsea, what you see is what you get with them. Every time that I've talked, and I'll be real with you, I have a much better relationship with Chelsea than I do with James. Me and Chelsea talk a lot more. But every time I've talked to either one of them, it's just a genuine, I feel like I'm talking to someone I've been friends with for 20 years. They are the kindest, sweetest people, and they're so happy to give back to everybody. And if you guys watching right now, if you don't know Dead Meat, you need to check them out. Listen to their podcast, the Dead Meat podcast. Watch James do the kill count. They also have They Talk, which is fucking phenomenal. So intelligent.
So funny.
Yeah, Zoran did a great job with that. Zoran, great job on that, my friend. Now, Destiny, before I let you go, I always close these with the same question. We're going to go back to Halloween 78, and we are going to rank this on a skull count. Now, what we're doing, we're not ranking this on production, quality, cinema, nothing like that. We're not being critics. What we're doing now is strictly judging this movie on how much it affected you. So 0 skulls being the worst and 5 being the best. What would your ranking of Halloween 78 be?
Easily a 5, I would have to say, because without Halloween, I would probably still like horror stuff. Like I was always into like Scooby-Doo and like Courage the Cowardly Dog and even like the Powerpuff Girls, some stuff that more leaned into like the horror side. But like really without Halloween, I don't think I'd be sitting right here probably talking to you. Like without Halloween, my room wouldn't look the way it does.
The butterfly effect.
Exactly.
For me, that was House, 1986. Without
I
House,
love it.
Yeah, without House, I'm not me. That was my first horror movie. That's still my favorite horror movie. I think it's a beautiful piece of cinema.
So great.
Yeah, besides Back to the Future. And okay, look, Back to the Future is probably the second best movie ever made. When it comes to the most perfect movie, I mean, absolute perfect movie, the only movie I'd ever give 10 out of 10 rating to, 100% Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That is the perfect movie from front to back. It's amazing. It's perfect. I love it. And then you got Back to the Future, and then you got House. Like, and that's the order for me. That nobody will ever change my mind on that. So I do want to remind you guys, we are in the third act. We're, the final girl's about to get away. So I do got to remind you guys one last time, click her links down here in the description. I promise you, you won't regret it. Destiny is a great friend, and her art is beautiful to watch come into life. And I know that she's just going to get better and better with time. I love it right now. I'm going to grow to adore it in the future. So, Destiny, I want to thank you again for taking time out of your day to come and hang out with me and talk or get spooky for a little while. Don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.